Hello Virgo, welcome back to my channel, The Vibes Inside. I am Mariana and I am here to do your reading. I've pre-shuffled your cards, Virgo, and I'm ready with a reading here for you. I hope I can maybe do them a bit shorter, but well, we'll see, right? So, well Virgo, you have been on a bit of a roller coaster during the last weeks or so. I made a reading about 2 weeks ago where it's like, well, I spilled my coffee all over the place. So I feel like there was something that really has come in and hurt the Virgo at some point. So I have been curious what was going on after, and let's have a look at what's here. So I'm going to start with underlying energy for you, where I do have the first chakra here, the root chakra, and it's clarified with the 6 of Earth here. So the root chakra can talk about our roots, where we come from. It's in the chakra system. This is where we can hold the most trauma. This is the very first primal attachment that we are doing, usually with our parents and the surrounding world around us, so parents and siblings and so on. But the very primary first, you could say, an immature attempt to connect with others, because as a baby we must connect, otherwise we probably won't survive. So I have root chakra here, and the 6 of Earth would be 6 of Pentacles, is usually a card of equal give and take, equality, fairness, a fairness between parties. So if we talk about something like yin and yang, I have had a lot about that on my channel. There could be something about equality and fairness between men and women, or feminine and masculine. It could be how, things are divided, or how you were treated. If, let's say, you are a woman and you have a brother, were you treated equally as children due to the gender, or maybe the oldest was treated in a different way than the younger, or something like that? Was there a favorite and then the others, something like that here? We could talk about you were not given the same opportunities, you were not given the same schooling, you were not given the same freedom, perhaps. You were not given the same, I hear confidence, but I want to say support, so that you could evolve your confidence. Could there be something with like your roots, like the family you come from? I always, when I look at this card, I feel like when I take this closer, he looks so skinny to me. So even though it says the 6 of Earth here, I always, when I look at it, I always get this feeling of something has not quite been 6 of Earth, right? That maybe that has been what you wanted, right? That, again, Virgo, you have I've talked about that Virgo wants the highest octave, the highest possible fair and virtuous good outcome of something. That's kind of the Virgoan energy. I really looked into that energy. I really feel it has such beautiful ambition, but it's very difficult in this third dimension to actually become successful with it, I want to say, because it's so it's so it's just so easy to somehow not be virtuously correct, right, good always. And even if you think you are doing good, there is a flip side to it. Usually there is, like in the third dimension, there's always yin and yang. So if you do, let's say, you want to help a friend move, let's say they're moving. So you want to help them, and you meet in on time, like you come promptly as agreed. You work your butt off all day to help them get their furniture and everything in, and you are helpful with whatever, like putting things on the wall or getting things cleansed or washed or something before they can put in clothing or plates or whatever. So you stay there and you do all this, and you're happy to help. The only one you're not helping is yourself. So when you get home, you may be happy that you could help them, and maybe they are telling you that. A few days later, they tell you, oh, it was such great help, we couldn't have managed it without you. That's probably nice, but you could be exhausted. So to one good deed, there can be a flip side. And I think in this, like in the third dimensional energy, this is so difficult, like really difficult. I have a Virgo moon, and I really, so many times I feel like I've tried, I wanted, and had the thought of like really wanting to do right by others, really wanting to like and take other people's feelings into regard and so on. But then if you do that, maybe you're not treating yourself very well, Like you could be bouncing, other people could bounce off on you, and to not, like make them uncomfortable, or to not like project everything back. You may not say anything, but actually now you sit with it, right? It's so easy to like, and Virgo can become judging, like they judge what's in front of them. Virgo can have a tendency of becoming perfectionistic, and like being in a feeling of needing to be perfectionistic, like that is a suicide mission, right? It's because you never can, you can be, like perfectionistic to a certain point. As I said, let's say you have certain ideas about your body. Virgo is usually health and body oriented, right? So, but it can turn into self-loathing. My nose is not, I need to do something about that. My eyes, my ears, my hair, I have to lose weight. And when that happens, again, it could be, I'm going on a diet because it's healthier for me and I could lose weight. Okay, so that could be a good attempt. But actually you are criticizing how you look. Maybe nobody else is criticizing you, only you are. And you start this diet and restrict yourself, or like over exercise or something like that. It's almost like punishing yourself. Because you have to be this, right? There is this like strong need to stay up somehow. By all means, stay up. Like upper octave virtues. Like, again, there's this, nobody must be able to put a finger on Virgo. How they look, the work they do. They always meet in on time. They are always cleansed and neat. They are, if you visit their home, it's always well organized and clean. I want to say, like, Virgos, they're always clean, very clean. They smell good. They look good. They are not over or underdressed. They are always like aligned and perfect. Like, you will never put a finger on them. Right? And, well, I'm challenging myself a little bit with that, but you know, it can get to a point where you are, that it really controls everything you do. And the thing is that these high standards and ambition, like, Virgos can also have a tendency of wanting to put them onto others. So if others are not doing just as good as Virgo, you are judging them. You may not say it, but here you're judging them. You have already seen, like, the mess on their table, right? Like, you have already seen the coffee mugs from yesterday that have not been put in the kitchen. You have already seen it. You may not be saying it, but you have noticed, right? And this is where Virgo can become this, like, a heads up, right? This must be like having a correction mind. Because then Virgo becomes the one who points a finger on someone. Like, the standards of Virgo, like, inside themselves, it can be harsh and very self-loathing, self-criticizing. And that same criticism is now also put on things outside of you, right? Sometimes you say it, sometimes you don't, right? Depending on who it is and circumstances. Maybe you're not saying it to your boss, but you could be correcting your children, right? If you don't think that they sit okay at the table, they're not eating in a, like, nice manner, you know, then the finger comes. And this finger I know very well from my own mother. This Virgo energy has been very, very, very prominent from both my mother and father. And I'm kind of studying it because it's, well, I study many things, but I'm studying it because I want to understand it. And at the same time, it's really, yeah, maybe that's a passion of mine. I want to understand the things that, like, when things become extreme, right, then I want to understand it. I want to figure it out. No, I don't want to just not necessarily judge it. I want to understand why it is like that. And there is a particular seed. I talked about it in some of the other readings as well. It's something like, well, it's almost like we are born with it. So let me just elaborate, right? I've noticed, so this is just my theory, you can like it or not, right? But this is my theory, that we are almost, all of us, born with a certain seed in our mind that wants the world to adapt to us. Because when the world adapts to us, we can get our needs met and we are comfortable. So when we are babies, right here, when we are babies, we cry, right? That's the only communication skill we have. So we cry, and mother comes, right? Or normally mother comes. That's the attachment you have here, right? And if mother is a good mother or good enough mother, she will listen and be there and attentive and try to make things as good as possible for little baby, right? Then we become a little older and we learn something about that. Maybe maybe you can have your needs met exactly on point. You have to wait a little bit. Actually, we train children to wait, right? We like waiting. We wait for something. And this idea of waiting, postponing your needs goes against our original ways of thinking. We want our needs met now, instantly. I believe this whole idea comes from the oneness. Like before the souls incarnate, we come here. Well, it's a consciousness bubble or place or understanding. So there are no bodies, right? That there's no physical body that needs to be tended to. It's just consciousness. And I am understanding it and feeling it like it's this place where there is a perfect balance of everything. Like here on earth, it's like, you should see it a bit like everything in the oneness where the souls come from. It's described as oneness, or I could call it allness. Like all we see that is separated from each other here functions as like an atom. So I'm an atom. This is an atom. Like this is an atom, and so on. Every person, every grass straw, every little flower, every kind of food is like an energy atom. It holds a frequency. So if our little mind should try to comprehend that, how much that is, how many small items there are, then you take all of them together in one big giant ball. And in here you now have a mix of yin and yang energies in one big enmeshed kind of function. And this is where the soul comes from. In here, there is a perfect balance between yin, between yang, and things are never too much, never too little, never too something. So here we flow as souls. Nice place it is. Then we come to earth. We incarnate here. We are not only incarnating, so like a soul drop, like the soul take a journey to earth just to see, okay, what's this place like? No, we are put in a body now, inside a body. And the body can't leave. Well, you can kill yourself, right? Or get killed. But the point is that usually we live a life, and in that life you can't just leave again. Like the soul can't just leave again and go back to where the perfectness where it just came from. And this perfectness, I really feel like this is the seed that somehow remains with us. And somehow I feel that for Virgos, this is particularly present. Like this perfect balance of something is is particularly, it's in all of us. But I believe for Virgo, it becomes even more, like, because Virgo always attempts the highest octave of everything, virtuous octave of everything. And then you drop into a body, and then to earth with third dimensional energy. And if this Virgo seed is intact, you can actually remember it, or you are tuning into it. The Virgo child will ask for that oneness. We all do, no matter what sign you are. We ask for the oneness, and we will get some kind of help. Something will be offered to us from our parents. Maybe it's right on time. Maybe the mother is very attuned and very good at this. Maybe they are not. Maybe they have more than one to attend to. Like, imagine having triplets. You can't take, like, you have two hands, so one must sometimes not be carried or breastfed or whatever. One is sleeping or waiting or something, right? And this is where I feel like there could be something about this, that this fairness or balance or perfectness, what I talk about, this allness or oneness feeling, that maybe it feels a little bit starved here, right? That this is something that is, the underlying energy is usually something that is, well, in your subconscious mind, perhaps. It's operating there. But scientists say that that many of the conscious decisions that we are making when we are actually awake comes from the subconscious mind. That the subconscious mind is ruling many of our conscious choices. We only use about 5, 8, 10% of our conscious mind. The rest comes from, as I said, something here that is, maybe it's kind of in the back of your mind here. You may not even know it. Like, you may not have no conscious awareness about it. It's like a tape recorder that just goes in there. As children, we are like swamps. Like, the brain of a newborn is like a swamp. It registers everything, and it takes it in as vibration energy. So depending on what kind of environment you were born in, there could be something about what I say, the roots here. The roots are, the root chakra in your system, but also your family roots. What kind of environment was this? And because the root chakra here is present with and clarified with the Six of Earth, I feel like there could definitely be something about equality, fairness, equal give and take, having, like being just as important as the rest of the family, or being just as important as maybe other siblings, being regarded as an equal member of, like, given the same amount of food, given the same amount of clothes, given the same, it could even be something like back in time, women were regarded as property. So if you are a Virgo woman here, right, and you like I said, this was kind of maybe in your subconscious mind. This can be like bloodline inheritance, because it's a way of programming the next generation. So if you have let's say that there is that this energy has been present way back, so like stories from way back in your family, that somehow maybe you would say, I don't know, I'm somehow tuning in on women and men here, like this idea of sons and daughters, like that the men or the sons may have been favored somehow. And the reason for that is because the man represents the entire family. At least once they did. A woman was nothing by herself. She had to be married to a man. And even when she was married to a man, she and the children were still regarded as some kind of property. Maybe we don't see it like that anymore, or maybe not in all parts of the globe, but take it how it resonates in whatever way that may resonate for you, Virgo. I'm just saying that there could be something that you are carrying that you haven't been aware of, because it's residing in here. It's something that I can say that sometimes, because it's a driver energy, that it's something that has been working in you, driving a process forward here somehow to somehow, like change something in you, or change something about your awareness, that it's driving, pushing something forward to you to look at here. That you're becoming aware of something here. So it may have been totally hidden in the back of your mind, and then slowly it has started to kind of come forward, and maybe you've noticed stuff, like how unequal something is in the world perhaps, or maybe, like in your job, maybe in your family. You're realizing how different people are treated, and how that more attention on something and less attention on someone else perhaps, or something like that. Six of Earth could also talk about money, right? That and he looks, I really feel like he looks skinny, right? That there could be something about Six of Earth would also talk about balance, right? That it's equal, and maybe there is something like a feeling that something is not equal, or even like if they are saying, yeah, I'm fine, we are treated alike, but look how starved this is, right? That there could even be like lies, right? That you say you are all right, but actually you're not all right, right? That there's something about this skinny feeling here. Let me just have a look here. Yeah, and at the bottom of the deck for the Six of Earth here, as a clarifier, I now have the King of Water here. I must say, well, King of Water is a kind, beautiful, he actually comes across a bit like God-like, Jesus-like energy here. Something very kind, considerate. Again, Jesus energy would be, it's almost like this is, as I said, this oneness feeling, right? That these are that is your root, right? That you come from this, right? You come from this. That is your root, the King of Water here. I get, he comes across as King of Water is usually like empathic and kind and good-hearted and loving and patient, and all the virtues that you would say that has to do with love, maybe even unconditional love, right? That it's almost like you recognize your roots have something to do with this, but this is what you're experiencing, right? You're experiencing that so to speak, it says that, yeah, there should be equality, but someone feels starved here. It's not quite that, I think. And, well, if we talk about unconditional love and God-like energy here, I get it comes across a bit like a memory, right? A memory, or like this, as I said, this seed. Like the seed, I believe we all have this, like the seed of, I don't know if I could call it the seed of God, or the seed of oneness. or the memory of oneness. It's like there's this little seed, and as babies we cry. We want this instant feeling of being taken care of in whatever way where we feel uncomfortable, so that we get comfortable again. And this can go really bad. It can go to the point of survival, right? That you are a child is now in so much distress that we talk about survival. Then it's of course also screaming, right? So from survival to comfort, like in these feelings in between. Then we become older, and we learn that we have to wait sometimes. We learn that you can't always just scream if you can't get your way. We learn to like hold it in, or but actually we're not holding it in. We have just found another way, maybe more acceptable way of get our reaction out. The child that cries is a reactive mode. I don't like this, so now I scream, right? What we do now is just that in the moment, yeah, you may not say anything, but actually you are reactive, you don't like it, you are uncomfortable. And then you call a friend and you tell them, or you sit with your girlfriends and you gossip, or you become angry, and but you can't show it in the moment. So you take it out when you go weightlifting later, or you take it out on a colleague down the street, down the aisle a few minutes later. Or we just feel the frustration inside and we don't know exactly where to send it somehow. I believe that the human race in the third dimension, we are not very evolved. I believe we are in a state of being around maybe like toddlers. And sometimes toddlers have temper tantrums. And they will tell you, they're quite talkative normally. They will tell you what they like and don't like. This world is a constant like, not like, good, bad, up, down, right? We scan all the time. Our brain is constantly scanning for good and bad, judging all the time. And when we feel uncomfortable, we may not, again, as I said, we may not say it all the time, right? We may not say it all the time, but deep down there is something wrong here. And again, Virgo would probably be, I believe Virgo can, because they always want to do good, like it has to be virtuously good. Acting perfect. So if someone is angry with you, how do you act perfect in front of that? You're not yelling back, right? That's not Virgo like. Like that is not good enough. Virgo must do something else to, deal with that yelling or something. Whatever that is, but they are not reacting like with an attack back necessarily. They will try to figure out how to speak back in a manner that could solve the problem, or maybe they needed to just let this other person know that they cannot help and they are leaving, but they would try to dim their own temper. And somehow I get the feeling of especially with this he comes across this is this beautiful man, right, or father here, father. It comes across like God, or like the place this guy is like the place where everything is peachy, right? That's what he represents, like this perfect bubble of like perfect balance between the yin and yang, like the oneness. But in the oneness there are no bodies. There are no bodies in the oneness. It's consciousness. So a soul doesn't necessarily know what it means to have a body. And when you get here and you get one, the body starts reacting. And we will feel stuff that we don't like. And maybe we will instantly be helped. Or maybe we will not be helped, or we will be offered help, but it's not the right help, right? We will have this, or maybe they're offering help, but it's too much, or it's too little, or it's too harsh, or it's too soft, or it's too this and that. There's always these back and forth here. This dimension it's very difficult to get it perfectly right. Maybe to the outside world it looks perfect. Like the Virgo stands there and looks perfect and deals with stuff in a very perfect way. But then when they are off work, they are maybe miserable because they had to tolerate other people's projections and anger and frustration, and they can't show it, right? They can't show it. They must not show it. Like it's a very harsh, it holds the Virgo in this tight kind of, self-loathing or self-criticism. At least it can do that. And it can point the finger on others. It points the finger on the things that was wrong. Because it is not acting like me, right? It is not acting like me. It should act like me, right? It should act like me. So it becomes a judge. I'm not saying this to criticize. I'm a Virgo moon. I know all about this, right? I'm just saying that Virgos are in it's a suicide mission. Like it's to keep this, I'm not saying high standards are bad. I'm just saying that please have yourself in mind also. Not only others, not always for others' best attempt or whatever, but not always taking other people's feelings or thoughts or beliefs or well-being in regard before you think about yourself also. Like there has to be finding the balance between something. I believe for a Virgo this is very, very difficult because there is this, it's almost like they have this guy in the ear, right? That he's kind of whispering in the ear, do better, do better, do better. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like the idea of doing better, it is not bad. It's very ambitious in this dimension. And it's not I just feel it's very difficult to actually act in a manner that is constantly perfect. At some point you will fall. At some point you get a stain on the shirt. At some point you get late to work. Maybe because there was an accident on the freeway, but it doesn't matter. You still get late. You arrive late. You know, like it's very difficult to have that energy. So somehow I feel like that there's something about this, that the roots, it's almost like you remember that your roots, that there's a part of you that comes from somewhere else here. It comes from somewhere else. And with this guy around, he is like the perfect one. Like he is watery, right? He's considerate, it's kind. Again, it's love-based, it's kind, it's supportive, it's considerate, it's helpful. It has best intentions at heart. It is patient and, all this stuff here, right? And again, that is what he represents. So coming from these roots where you feel this would make you feel in perfect balance. Then you come to Earth here, and fighting for that balance here. I also feel like the 6 talks about balance, fighting perhaps for this balance actually is exhausting you, starving you here, right? It's because the same balance is not given back to you. Like all the attempts you do to somehow make things good, it's not given back to you. And this is like the driver. So this is something you may have recognized. It's something that has been ruling your behavior. So what has it then been driving forward? What kind of energy has it been working with in you? So I get the 5th chakra here, Archangel Gabriel. And it's clarified with the wild woman that is reversed here. So I will just have a look at this guy first, because it was so interesting when I turned this card around. Instantly, I had this feeling like this photo here, like the face of this guy felt like it was replaced. Like there has been another photo has been put in here. And I think it has to do with this guy here, right? Because there is this seed that sometimes that you come from something else. And there are these, like, it is a perfect place. It's Eden. It's the perfect garden. And then you come to Earth and it feels inadequate. It feels that you have to fight for a balance, that it requires a lot of you, and you feel starved in it. The 5th chakra here talks about the throat chakra. So this is how you speak, your identity, your how you present yourself, how you communicate about others, how you communicate to yourself, to others, how the social construct you've made about the world. And somehow it was interesting to me that it felt a little bit like, you have cut this one out from a magazine and then you glued it in here. So to me it feels a little bit like identity shift. Like coming here, having this experience of feeling that something is off here, that you miss where you come from, and you feel starved here. That what you have been trying to do, fighting for some kind of balance here, wanting that balance, wanting that oneness, wanting to have this good experience, right, is actually exhausting. So it means that maybe you had to become, like you had to change your mind, or at being this one, fighting for the good, fighting for the balance, keeping it up, looking perfect, always doing good at job. It's actually exhausting you here. Like to be the Virgo, right? Because you're not getting it back. It's like there is no one who sees you, right? It's almost like nobody can see the work you do. Nobody sees how much you are attempting, how much you're trying to keep up the standard. Maybe you feel undervalued. That could also be what this is. Others don't see your values. They don't recognize your values as important or right, or and it starves you because you know that they are, right? Somehow you know they are because you remember some of this. That's the seed. That's the standard, right? It's the standard that you come from. Maybe you were raised in a family where there were really like high standards, or maybe they were very loving and very kind and very caring, and now it's like maybe they are not here anymore, right? This could be a grandfather or something, and they are not here anymore, right? So it's like you are here, and you're trying to balance your world out, but you feel exhausted without this one, right? You feel exhausted without like having this with you. And then there's this feeling of this guy here that it's almost like there's another photo that has, yeah, that's what it felt like, that, you know, like that, you know, if you cut out Arnold Schwarzenegger from his younger years and you put it on your wall, and then you take a picture of yourself and take your own face and set and is gluing it where Arnold's face is. So it's like this idea that I have this body, you know, like a strong Arnold Schwarzenegger body, and then my face on it, right? That's what it feels like. I have to become something here. It's almost like I talk about Archangel Gabriel here, but then you put your own face on it. You know, like I have to become the one that keeps the standard up, right? Identifying with being someone who, I don't know, are entitled to correct or to point out or to set a standard or something, to set a barrier of something here. Then I put my face in here, and I start acting like this one. Does it make sense? Like I can become the acting corrector, right? I see everything. Like I see when everything is off. I see the little dust over there. I see that this area has not been cleansed. And somehow somehow it's my duty to be this one. I must now get myself, like I become the one that acts like that and can never be this, right? I can never be her here, the wild woman. She is reversed. I just want to show you how she looks here. She's reversed, right? So I have to act like this. I must put on an angel suit here, and I can never be this one. I can never, you know, this is where you can never act out of tone. You have to stay proper and virtuous or pious or something. Like this is where it could be like an identification or idolization of being like this, to the point where it becomes an identity. Like it becomes now the role you are, the one you are, and you dismiss this one, right? You this one is totally, this could be this could be your shadow, right? That in order for me to somehow, it's almost like being the balancer of the world, right? Because the earth is so starved of this energy here. Like earth is so starved of this energy. I can feel how starved it is. It's even like exhausting me to try to like to show it and to be it, but it's almost like here you become it, like you become almost like a, I don't know, like a disciple or something here, that you know, like you become a spokesperson for this, right? You become a spokesperson. It could, well, this could be, you know, like ending up becoming a priest or something. Like you really identify with the virtuous part of life, dismissing totally some kind of wildness here. So this means that you now live according to certain rules. Rules that could be in your head because you grew up with them. Rules and ideas or rituals or prayers even, or something like that. Well, it could be, if this has been a living person here, like a loving grandfather here, you now want to be like them, right? You wanna like follow their example and be like them. You know, again, it's like putting, if like that you cut out the face and you put it here. You cut out your own face and you put it here, and then you now see yourself standing here with angel wings and so on. And that could be how you have the throat chakra, what you are. Every time you speak, every time you say something, every time you promise something, every time you're helping someone, you wanna look like this. This is what you want to show the world. And in order to do that, you must entirely shut this off in you. The wild woman cannot exist. Like in a Virgo world, the wild woman doesn't exist. In the oneness, she would exist, but there will be a counterpart that balances it. We could also say that these here would be opposites. That these would be opposites. And if both of you are in the world somewhere, you may not know each other, but if both of you are in the world, there is a balance. But you may not know it, right? Because you don't know that person. You are only this, and they are only this. As I've said before, like, I'm me. I have a counterpart somewhere. Something is my counterpart. I don't know who, I don't know what, I don't know how many, big or small or whatever, I don't know. But there must be a counterpart to me, otherwise there's not balance. So it's almost like you became this one, you cut this one off. So now you are acting primarily out of this, and this could be in your shadow, right? That this must never come forward. This is unwanted. And this is the problem for Virgo, right? Because in this world, you cannot only be this. It would be so much easier if we didn't have a shadow, if there was no duality. Then you could choose this, and this would just like disappear, right? But you are constantly every day portraying this, but this one is in the background. That is why it's so exhausting, right? That's why it's so exhausting to be here. I can read from the Wild Woman here for you. I just show you her upright here. So when the Wild Woman dances into your reading, she reminds you of the essence of authority and freedom. Divested of all social constraints and cultural conformity, the Wild Woman holds up a mirror to your essential self, the true essence of who you are and who you are meant to become. She's a member of the bright light within each of us that gets dimmed by the restrictions imposed upon us by the expectations of society. She reminds us that in order to be fully present to life, we must uncover the light and let it shine brightly, regardless of the perceived consequences. So, because it comes out reversed here, I want to read the medicine part of this card here. It says, excess for its own sake is a sign of imbalance. This is a warning that you may be trapped in obsessive thinking or behavior, looking for release in places that will never provide it. Let go, lest you become like the hungry ghost of Chinese Buddhist law that can never be fulfilled. True release comes from trusting the fluidity of life, understanding that just as a river needs to bank to flow through, understanding that just as a river needs its banks to flow through, so too do you need boundaries around your thinking and behavior. Now is the time to simplify, be mindful, and connect to that light within. So you see, she wants to have freedom and have her own authenticity and dance in the wild if she wants to do that at night or whatever. But and it really doesn't work well with this guy. This kind of identity doesn't work well with this one. So one has to go, right? One has to go, and it seems like you chose that it has to be this one. Of course it should. Like Virgo, it's almost like you have no choice. But the point is, you are in a human body, and you do have, this one is a part of you. For now, you have somehow shoved her in the background here. She gets dimmed. The last card I have here is She of the Lotus. We see how she's down here. It's like, I see it like she has been, like, she is at the bottom of the card here, where she could have been floating up here, but she's residing down here, right? She's residing at the bottom here. And you have been trying to portray this. And this other part of you has then now been restricted or not looked at for a very long time. You know, Virgo it's earth energy. And I believe that Virgo is actually very embedded in the matrix, in the form of institutions and rules and regulations and all kinds of organization and plans and everything. Virgo is a great analyst and is very punctual. Like again, the order and the cleanliness, the purification of something is always on point with Virgo, right? It means that Virgo is, one side of Virgo is very into and maybe likes actually like the rules and regulations, the bookkeeping, you know, these like that things are in boxes with labels on, and like there is a great organizational skill in Virgo. great bookkeepers, I believe, also, like really, they stick to the rules. They, again, it's something about the light that drives Virgo is this like virtuous good that you do your absolute best, right? And not lying, not betraying, not all, like really the only one you may be lying to is yourself, right? But let that be. The point is that it has this, it's almost like you got yourself on a mission to keep something alive here, or to be an example like this. Like you chose a path where you're trying to embody this. Does that make sense? To embody this. But it then means that you can't have this, which is a part of you. It now is your shadow. So you have probably like been really good looking, done a lot of stuff. You have helped, you have been great. You have probably done a lot of cleaning work and everything. But you have also taken upon yourself what, as I said, a suicide mission. Like this, in the third dimension, this is absolutely impossible, actually. The fifth dimension is coming in, so we hope that it can bring a little more of this energy to us, right? And maybe you can feel it, Virgo, that it's coming, that it's here. But in the third dimension, Virgo energy has been really struggling. Like it's terrible how self-criticizing, but also like criticizing, pointing out other people's failures, or maybe not saying it, but a look can tell words, right? Or like a criticizing eye, or just that kind of expression, or rolling eyes, or just turning away, or something. Like your body language in itself can give the rejection or the judgment, right? So somehow I feel like I'm talking to a Virgo here, and maybe it's in all Virgos, that somehow they have gotten themselves on this mission of, in this crazy world we live in, that there must be some who try to like uphold a higher standard of something here. And I feel like someone here has literally like taken their own face and put it here, like, I will be that one. I decide to be that one. Because we are all somehow starving here. Like there is no real balance. It is exhausting to live in this energy. It is not really equal or fair. I can see how some are like really, starved emotionally here, right? Emotionally, that there is no love here. Like Earth is starved of love. We are all into materialism and money, but there's no love here. And taking upon itself to somehow have this energy here. And maybe you are very good at like keeping grace, being a graceful person, and really trying to be kind and understanding. But as I just said, like it takes just a look, or a missing smile, or it takes just like rolling eyes or something, or the lifted eyebrows. It just takes this little expression to judge something. You may not even say words, right? But and again, it's throat chakra, so you may not even speak what you're thinking. But your way of like maybe things are smelling here, or anything that is not like the best, highest possible. That it's like having this mission of being this example on earth that can tell, right? That can tell, I know when things are not to the highest standard, right? I know when things are not like this. And I am the messenger or the guardian of these virtuous ways of thinking. Maybe this is governing your life a lot. Meaning that, as I said, Virgo is implacable. You can't point a finger on them. It's the way you dress, it's how you look, it's your abs, it's your hair, it's your makeup, it's your style of clothes. It's always perfect. No wrinkle, nothing. Shiny shoes, spotless, smells well, well shaved, everything is very well and good and up somehow here. So it can govern your way of being. And there is no room for this. So it means that you are now following a code, a codex, a code. You are living by certain standards, but they may not be your own. Well, maybe, again, it's because you miss this, right? You miss this and you're comparing with this. And everything that doesn't compare with this is not good enough. And you are now the messenger of this, right? It's like, and you will say it. You will, when you see something in a restaurant or at work or something, you will see, it's not good enough, right? You're comparing with something. And that's what now the Virgo does. It compares or judges all the time. Right? This is how it could be or can be. And this one is put in the background here. But this one is actually, I want to say, more authentically you. Like she's free. She can be this wild, shamanistic woman, dancing half naked in the woods at night, yelling or singing or, making a bonfire, dancing around it, expressing herself freely. Again, Virgo, like the conduct of a Virgo is very like, they're not rigid. They don't act like, they don't have but they don't have spontaneous kind of movements or something. They don't, but she would do that, right? She would be someone who, and she is down here, right? She is down here. She's watching everything you do when you are very proper here, right? She's watching it. But you may feel like this, maybe a bit unhappy. Maybe you feel unhappy because she sits here and she is part of you and she has never really had her time. Maybe that's also why you feel this is here, like there's something that needs to be balanced. I'm exhausted here, but I don't know what's missing. You may not know what's missing, and I can tell you what's missing. This one is missing. Like she is right there, and she's looking through your eyes also, right? But she just can't move. Like you've put her down there, dimmed her. because there's only room for the angel here. This is the only one that must ever be seen. Nothing else must be seen from you. Like, people must not know you for anything else but this. Again, here, nobody can put a finger on this guy here, right? But people could point a finger on this one. And she is here. She resides down here. She is part of your roots as well. She's the balance to your perfect guy here. She would be the imperfect one. She's the imperfect one. This is the imperfect side of Virgo here. The troublemaker. The one who doesn't act according to rule. Who doesn't fit the box. Who is dirty, angry, wild, loud, maybe even reactive, as I said. So when people are screaming at you, and you, because you have to stand in this energy, you're not necessarily attacking back. You're kind of just smoothing around it. She would be the one who would attack and shout you right in the face. And being, making all kinds of faces or so. She would be the one that is unpredictable, where this one is extremely predictable and trustworthy and reliable. She is exactly the opposite here. She can challenge any group with her behavior, her look, again, she could have green hair, right? And she could have been walking in the woods all day and right into your living room with big dirty boots on. And she doesn't really, she has no awareness that is wrong. That's just how she is. So the she of the lotus here, which is the wild woman that is residing here in your subconscious, it talks about shadow work, addressing dissonance, seeing downfalls as a flip side of superpowers, loving yourself back to wholeness, the beautiful lotus that grows from murky waters, disempowering triggers, and bringing light into your dark corners. So she's asking you to go here. That the only way you can find a little more balance in your life and you don't feel so exhausted is to invite her into your life here and let her be part of that. That is what you can say that she asks for here, right? It's like, if you could love this side of yourself as well, see her as a resource. She is a resource when things become, well, I don't know if I would say too exhausting, but definitely when these two are together, being like this all the time definitely is exhausting here. It needs a counterpart, right? It needs something to balance it out. So it could be maybe you need a wild hobby here to kind of engage with her. Or if you really don't want your name or face out there, you could do it, masked. You could decide to be anonymous or use another name or something. But just get yourself involved in something where you are testing out what it means not to be perfect. What it means to disappoint and be unreliable. What it means not always to be perfect. Let's say you are very much into diet and the way you eat and something, that then go and have a big ice cream. Or the people that may always trust you to come, if they phone you and they are saying, I'm really having a problem, yeah, I'm coming, right? I'll be there. I'll come as quick as I can here, right? I rush in, and I'm because I'm this good helper, so I rush in. Maybe this time you're saying to this friend, no, I can't really do it this time around. And what happens when you do that is that you bring this one forward. But when you do that, you're now feeling the confrontation of the difference between these two. Like this one can be, like he can be learned. Like this can be a programming that you did this because of something. You did this because you this is like a role model, and you identify with that. You want to identify with that. So this can be like a learned behavior, but there's something about it that hasn't allowed for this one to be there. Only perfectness can exist here. Nothing but perfectness, and therefore she can't be there, right? So we have dimmed her. She's down here. But when you start doing this, no, sorry, Peter, I can't come around this time. You have to call someone else. Well, Peter, who normally knows you for someone who always comes, he would maybe like become a little, but why? Normally you always come around. I need you. I need you to come. I need you to. You're the only one who can do this. So now these two can be split what to do, right? This one still wants a day off, and this one says, no, but I have to. I'm not perfect if I'm not going to Peter. I cannot uphold this picture if I don't go to Peter. And she would say, let go of it. Be lazy. I want to be lazy. Yeah, but I have to. I want to be lazy. Don't do it. Stay at home. Put your feet up. Let's get an ice cream. No, but this is where you have this inner dialogue that leads into shadow work, where you have to figure out how you want to live your life. Because this one, I think it comes across as like a creation. Like this is a role that you have created, that you are supposed to uphold. A mask or a duty or something. It comes across, again, this virtuous kind of high octave. It's almost like you've promised, right? Someone must fight for this, right? Someone must show this to the world, but it's so exhausting. But it's because it's seldom given back or reciprocated. It's a lonely walk, and it's not validated necessarily. People do not validate it. And as I said, there can be a downside to this perfection here. We know that many people who have this, like an online life, an Instagram life, actually we know that the downside of this is that it's expensive, perhaps. Like they have to have all the latest fashion clothes. They always have to look great. They can never be her. Like they can't have, like wild breakfast morning hair. They can also never cry because the mascara is running, right? They can't have a wrinkle. They can never have a loose bottom or anything. Like it's very it's actually harsh. It's a harsh and unkind energy to live it. I believe the receivers of this, like the one you help, like the work you do, the things you deliver to others, impeccable, it's perfect. So you can just take it. Thank you. Wow, great, a perfect lasagna, right? But the one who is giving it, the Virgo who gives it here, this is exhausting and it's lonely and nobody really cares. They don't see it. They may not even value it. They don't see the effort that you're trying to put in here. What kind of standards you're trying to uphold. They don't necessarily see it. And there is a side of you that is totally neglected here. And this could be the side that you see from others when they yell at you. When they yell at you and they're angry about all the troubles in the world that the world is not accommodating to them, then you get the yelling right in your face. This is the opposite, right? But you cannot show her back. You cannot yell back. But maybe you should yell back, or you should say, I'm out. Yeah, but we are not stopped. We are not, our conversation is not over. For me it is, right? For me, this conversation is over. I'm done. I'm not listening to that. But saying things like that out loud now takes you out of this. Because a perfect, angelic being would not talk like that. But a being that was authentic and aware of their freedom would talk like that. You see, like that, there's a dissonance between. It did also say this here, addressing dissonance, that when we discard any part of ourselves, we are throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Often our greatest strengths are our greatest weaknesses, and vice versa. When we reject or deny parts of ourselves, we end up feeling hollow, lost, and detached. When we take them out of the trash and work with them through compassion, gentleness, honesty, and non-judgment, we can shine a light on these shadows and see them for what they are. Incredibly, my perceived weaknesses vanished as I peeled the layers further and further back to explore the past experiences that accompanied them. Yeah, but that's another side, that the shadow work usually involves why we cannot be like this. The reason why we cannot be like this, and this can then now stem from some experience here. There's a reason, because she is part of you as well. Why did she not survive? It could have been the other way around, that this one was dimmed down and this one was there. But for Virgos, I believe, usually not. This one comes forward and this one is dimmed. So the wild woman must never be like it cannot. You having your own freedom, you are choosing your own authenticity, your own expression, your own style, your own. That is not really a thing. Like the life you live here is always according to something or someone. According to the Bible, according to Jesus, according to the latest fashion, according to the office regulations, according to my parents' home rules, according to school rules and expectations. I am now like acting perfectly there. But it's never really asking you, but if it was according to you, what would you do then? And this is then where you are realizing that you're hollow, right? That you don't know. If it should be according to your own self here, what would you do then? Where there are no, there's no box. There's no right and wrong. There's no sin. There's no, bad behavior or something. It just means, as I said, these are opposites, right? These are opposites. So when this one exists in the world, someone else like this also exists in the world, somewhere. And this just means that you have both of these sides in you. The wholeness you're looking for, the completeness, the feeling that you are happy, doesn't come from perfecting this. It comes from like a deep-rooted acceptance of her here. This one, right? It is leading you into shadow work and addressing that dissonance and imbalance you probably feel. You may even experience this sense of hollowness, a lost and detached feeling, it says here, accepting the shadows enough to bring them into the daylight was usually all it took for them to dissipate. Their power dissolved, and I could see them for what they were, or rather were not. Yeah, because this has been seen as a problem, as a must not exist, not tolerable, unacceptable. But actually, when you start loving it more, and you start also speaking it, being it, acting it, I'm not saying all the time, right? But again, it's the balance. I'm not saying you're supposed necessarily to become this one, but you should allow her in enough to maybe, accept that you are a person here, you're not an angel. Or, well, how can I say this? You are in human form. You have incarnated here to have this experience. You're not supposed to be an angel. Maybe you are, right? Your soul is. But right now you are in a human experience. And because you are in a human experience, you cannot, like this dimension, the third dimension, doesn't allow for it. The perfectness of something here, it's not there. It isn't here. It doesn't mean that you should just, everything I've done all my life has been wrong then. No, of course it has not been wrong. It's wrong when it's exhausting you here. Right? When your balance gets off balance, or when your entire awareness is about order, earthy stuff here, money, order, organization, and everything. You need a little bit of wildlife, right? You need a bit of disorganization, something a little more dramatic, or I wouldn't say chaotic, but if she is in the wild forest lighting her bonfire and she starts dancing, singing old shamanistic songs and so on, she steps out of the perfection box and into the imperfect, into the ability of being imperfect. But also think about the freedom that is here. Like, if you don't have to be perfect all the time, you can be imperfect, and it's all right. You will not be judged. You are not a sinner. You haven't done anything wrong. The only thing that can happen is that you are faced with all the ideas of why this one cannot come forward, why you cannot say the things you did, why you cannot. I remember when I started out doing some of the shadow work myself about this, I realized that I had a lot of triggers when it came to my family. There were just things that I couldn't say that out loud. That would not be accepted. Like, there were certain expectations of me, something like I should come to family dinner every weekend. I should come along and help with certain things. It was kind of just implied. It's almost like I wasn't asked. It was kind of just implied. And then I had some kind, like, certain illness that I had to work my way through, and it made me tired, and I just couldn't. I didn't have the same energy to do some of the things I did before. So I started saying no. Like, I started saying no. I was not crazy or wild or anything. I just started by saying, no, I'm not coming to that dinner. And I could hear it, like, why are you not coming? Yeah, but everyone else is coming. It's going to be such a great time. You should come, and we're going to have this and this dinner. It has gotten to the point that I'm not calling them. I rarely go there. Because it's not benefiting me. Like, my personal being, like, was like this. It was extremely exhausted from trying to uphold some kind of image, or of trying to be someone special. And it was about making them happy. So as long as I joined, as long as I came, as long as I did all this stuff, I made them happy. But I was not making me happy. So I started saying no. That was the first thing I did. And I was still calling them. I was still keeping up, like some of this behavior was still there, recognizable. Now it becomes less and less. Like, and especially if you are in a sense of, or some kind of codependency tie with people, or you have somehow established this role that this is how I am, and everyone can call me, and I will be there, and I will take care of everything. But rarely, well, people may say thank you, but when you get home, you may feel exhausted. You may feel very tired. You may also feel, yeah, but I did the right thing. It was a good thing. We kept the standard up. And yes, it is a good thing for those who receive it. I'm just saying, for the one who gives it, it's sometimes exhausting. Also, to keep the smile up all the time, like, I'm always happy, I'm always prepared, I'm always well spoken, I'm always clean, I'm always this and that, and so on. It's exhausting. That's what I see here. The one I'm reading for, it's exhausting. They want it, like it's on their mind, right? They are seeking the balance. They want the greatest possible love here. Something that is greatest and possible and right and good and everything. He comes across like, I don't know, God or something today, like Jesus' love or God or the mighty creator or something like that. The one we all think we come from, right? The Almighty Father that is like all loving and all caring and all that's what I feel like. It's like the oneness part where we all come from. We just it's like, because consciousness comes from oneness where there is balance, always balance, no matter what soul you are. It's like this idea that this is the favored state. And that's the seed that's in our brain. That's why when I feel discomfort, I want the world to adapt to me so that I feel comfortable again, balance is restored. And that is how it should be all the time. That's what we're used to. But you incarnate here for a reason. You incarnate here to not have it, to feel discomfort, to appreciate comfort and feel discomfort. That's at least one of the lessons. That there's separation. It's not always available, the things you want. It can be out of stock. The person is not there. They're not answering the phone or whatever. That is the reality that we are incarnating in, and we are also in a body. And a body must be maintained. Again, it's uncomfortable. It's a job in itself to maintain the body. It needs water, it needs food, it needs sleep, it needs shelter. So we have to have a house or somewhere to sleep. We have to pay for it. We have to pay for money. We have to pay for a lot of stuff. We have to work to get the stuff the money we need to pay for the things we need and want. To maintain a body is a job in itself. And further, we are not comfortable. But there is comfortable times we just almost don't recognize it. We somehow tend to recognize the things that are off more. Like even to the point of trauma, but also just things that are uncomfortable. And where we are fighting with our boyfriend or something. Like it creates this imbalance in the field around us. It's uncomfortable. We don't like it. We want it to adjust to us and what we need and what we want. I believe this is my theory, that we all have this inside them. No matter how selfless they seem, all of us somehow want the world and everything in it to accommodate us. And when it's not happening, we find certain ways of dealing with that. We create illusions, we create fantasies, we create ideas to deal with the dissonance, the imbalance. We create a protective ego and an identity that works with that ego. And then we forget about the rest. This normally doesn't prevail. We forget it, right? We forget about it. Or there's this little seed that keeps reminding us that we want the oneness. That's what we are attempting to somehow create in the life we have. And some find the oneness when they smoke marijuana, or I don't know, drink with their buddies, or go to the spa or something, get pampered, or, like there are ways where we can heighten the sense of relaxation and joy and peace and like love and comfort and support and compassion and everything. Like, but sometimes we are almost missing it. Like, as I said in some of the other readings, it's like you can go to work and you have a work day, but maybe there's an incident that is like really annoying. Right? You actually become angry, but maybe you're not saying it. Again, like the Virgo role here must stay intact, right? So you may not be saying it. So when you drive home in your car, you're repeating it maybe. You're going through in your mind what they said, what you said, what you could have done. Could you have anticipated something? Maybe you should have reacted in another way. Next time, what am I doing next time? Can we make sure that this doesn't happen again, right? Something like that. So an incident that happened at work, you are now taking it into your free time when you're transmuting in your car. You get home, it's still annoying you. You tell it to your partner. You say, today I just had the most like really annoying conversation with my boss, right? And he was just so unreasonable, right? So now you're taking your frustration, you put it right in the face of someone else. Or you call a girlfriend or something. Do you know what he's told me today? Blah, blah, blah. So we take it from one scenario into our free time, transmuting, further into our free time at home, now sharing it. It becomes a conversation, it hangs in the air. And you may still feel unfulfilled. Even though you have shared it, you have talked with others, you may still feel it's uncomfortable. To the point that when you actually go to bed, it's still kind of there. So it means that all the time you had from your car to your home, you're actually not relaxing. You're not relaxing. You're still playing the same thing. What is here is still played out in your mind or in your heart, in your body, like tension or something. It's still there, and it should not be there, because when you are in your car, you're actually off. Now you're just driving home. And when you get home, this stuff should not be there. Because when this is there, you cannot relax. And that's the whole point. That's what I'm saying. He is available for us when we remember him, right? In your home, in your couch, with a nice cup of coffee or a glass of wine or something. You should be relaxing with a nice good book, or you should have a walk with your dog if you like that, and look at the sunshine or the beach or something, and just breathe and be happy and be like rested and everything. This is where he is, right? He is in the space where you are resting, relaxing, doing some of the things you like to do. You're not occupied with all other kinds of things tomorrow, in the future, or in the past, even though it was the same day. You're not occupied with that. Then he's present in your life, right? That's the energy that is present when you actually you let the story be where it belongs, right? Or where it comes from. You let it be. You get yourself in the car, you stay in the now moment. You're actually off duty. This episode is over. You stay here. You sit and maybe you put on the radio, right? And you listen to some kind of song when you drive home. Get your thoughts in a mood that is pleasant here. And when you get home, you may actually be, yeah, I'm fine, right? You kiss your boyfriend and you hug your children, and you sit on the couch and just relax and breathe and just think about that you actually do have a great life. Even though you're in a body, and even though this is not constantly available for you, it is still there. We just have to remember it. Sometimes we are not even like we are sabotaging our own good time. And then we are annoyed next morning when we get to work that we don't feel like we are rested or something. Yeah, wonder why that we are not rested. Because you are never off, right? That's probably why there's this feeling of exhaustion, right? You're never free. It's too serious. It's too draining. And I know it's easier said than done, this idea of just leaving things where it comes from, but it's actually also leaving things in the past. So if you hold stories from the past, I'm not saying that you can't look at them. Just don't get yourself obsessed in it. Shadow work is about realizing why or what is the reason why you are maybe holding back on certain things here. And then starting to embrace it. Starting just to embrace that this is actually a part of you, and that's quite all right. We all have a shadow version. I have this one, right? And she has certain ideas, things she would like to do that is a bit, at least in this one, crazy, right? But she doesn't think so. And if you can actually integrate this side of yourself as a relaxed part of yourself, right? As a part of yourself that you are okay with that. I'm not saying you need to act on all of it, but she has a resource here. If things become too rigid or too boxed in up here, she can bounce out and leave. That's what this one can do. She can yell back. She can become a roaring tiger or a lion here. She can be crazy. She can be rigid. She can free you from something. She is it's like she's an arsenal. A power arsenal that you normally don't use, but she's there. It's almost like having having the friend beside you that would roll back when you're not doing it. That's who she is here. She's the one that roars back when you are not doing, when this one is not doing it. That's the power she has, right? She breaks the rules. If it feels more authentic and free, she would break the rules She would say no. She would disappoint. She's disappointing and sticking to it, because actually she's not disappointing. She's just stating her mind. The others see it as disappointing, but that's their point of view. And in that moment, they are not regarding her feelings or his feelings here. Right? They're not regarding the feelings. When she starts saying no here, you will also figure out who is actually your friend, your real friend. Because if someone can say, oh, okay, maybe another day then, right? Have a nice day off. They're actually accommodating you. They're actually saying, oh, I understand you don't want to go today, fine. Right? But those who like judge you and show disappointment, and they're just projecting their own stuff back at you. It has nothing to do with you. You're just stating a boundary. You're just saying no, that today I'm saying no. Or, yeah, okay, I may have made an error. I'm sorry, I made an error, right? She is human here. This one is not. Like, this one is über otherworldly. Like, that is the expectations they have towards themselves. Like, they can never fail. They can never make an error. They can never step out of that box. Like, they are solidly put in there. No acceptance, no flaws, no pointing fingers. Like, this one is always perfect. But think about that life, right? It's an exhausting life and a lonely life, because it's not everyone who understands what it is that you are attempting to do here. You're trying to keep standards up, and loving and caring and devoted and loyal and everything. But it requires so much of you, and it doesn't really mean that others are giving it back to you, right? That you get the same back. They just get accustomed to you doing it. They like receiving it, but they don't think about necessarily giving it back, reciprocating it. And if they are, that's probably the ones you could consider as a friend, because they are allowing you to be human. They are allowing you to actually be flawed, or to not be perfect, to have morning hair, or, like, they would accept that about you, because you are human, right? But I hope you get my point of this reading, that someone has living a life of trying to avoid a side of themselves and only show perfection. And that's very Virgo-like. It's really, well, I want to say, when Virgo energy is out of balance, of course, right? A Virgo that knows balance can put out their boundaries. Yeah. It is about loving yourself back to wholeness. So loving that part of yourself that you may have neglected, and something that couldn't, that you have like put it in the trash bin. You have exiled it somehow. It couldn't be there. When we reject and deny parts of ourselves, we end up feeling hollow, lost, and detached. But when we take them out of the trash and work with them through compassion, gentleness, honesty, and non-judgment, right? Here. We can shine a light on these shadows and see them for what they are. And maybe also why they are being put in the trash. Because there is a resource here. Like she is a resource of something here. She has certain skills. She has certain wildness to her. Maybe a certain sense of chaos also. But as I said, it's a power. It's like the friend that is standing up for you when you can't say it yourself. That's this one, right? The wild woman holds up a mirror to your essential self, or the true essence of who you are and who you are meant to become. She's a reminder of the bright light within each of us that gets dimmed by the restrictions imposed upon us by the expectations of society. It can be family, it can be school, it can be work life, it can be, like social media, any kind of fashion style, church perhaps, something like that. She reminds us that in order to be fully present in life, we must uncover the light and let it shine brightly, regardless of the perceived consequences. Yeah, but because that's another thing about Virgo. One of the reasons why you are like this is because you are avoiding consequences. You must be perfect, so you are avoiding consequences. But consequences is a part of this life here, as I said. Like keeping a Virgo energy up constantly is like really exhausting. And it has consequences to do that. Then you become hollow, lost, and detached from yourself, right? You don't even know who you are then. So there is consequence, no matter what. Avoiding consequence gives consequence. There's always, in the third dimension, there's this, and we are still, like we are juggling more than one dimension, right? But one of the ways to tap into the new one is to remember, as I said, when you are off duty, when you are home, like really become aware of your, that you don't put a lot, like you're not keeping the stories going. The stories from the past, inherited perhaps through bloodline and programming, and the stuff that come from, like work or influences from social media, from the news, all kinds of worrying, fearful stuff, or threatening. Again, it's threatening our discomfort, or threatening our comfort. It threatens our well-being somehow. The more you have going of this in your mind, the more it occupies your free time. So you're actually not resting and taking care of yourself while you could. Does this make sense? I hope it makes sense. So this is just what I know about this subject and what I've realized myself from my own journey. I hope this helps somehow, or that it could clarify something. Yeah, I send you my very best. Virgo, take care of yourself out there. Love and light to you. Bye bye.